Good evening, everyone. My name is Saif, or my name is Sipe. Yeah, my name is Sipe. My name we've been dealing this Gamlanding Sipe, guys. Sipe. And you can just call me Saif. I prefer the Saif name, my government name. Only my friends and family can call me that. So today we'll be doing week 5. We'll be just going through week 5, a summary and a few questions, just summarizing on what the live lectures app academy, what they were talking about. And then after that, I just added a bit spice to prepare us. Can you see my screen? Did I share? Yeah, I didn't. I just added a spice whereby, okay, we'll do the summary and then like answer the questions of what we're talking about. And now we will do a multiple choice. We're going to answer MCQ questions that are based on HTML, CSS, and JavaScript for now. We will go to Python. So this is the heading, or this is what they were talking about on week 5. Wait, let me double check. Is it week 5? No, not really sure. Let's see. I think yeah, it's week 5. Let me admit to this. Okay, yeah. Yeah, we are doing. Yeah, this is week 5. So they were talking about smart database management and analysis. So as we can see on the image, it's explaining the heading. It's explaining the heading goes as follows: as the use of database system and analytical tools are to effectively collect, store, manage, protect, and analyze data for informed decision making. And then like we have a collect to gather from multiple sources, to gather data from multiple sources, and store to organize and preserve data in a database. And we have manage to ensure data quality, consistency, and security. We have protect, where we safeguard data and unauthorized access, and also analyze using data analysis to uncover insights. So I created a slide. Let's go to the slide. Pretty sure everyone has seen this. I really need water. I'm thirsty. I'll be talking too much. Okay. This is it. Yeah, I think this is it. This is the slide of which I'll be sending the slide at the end of this class. I'll be sending this slide. Yeah, it's week 5. I'll be sending this slide to the group. And also if I forget, but I'll quickly forward it to Theo. So if I forget, Theo can also share it to you guys. Week 5, smart database management and analysis. There, in the first, what do you call this? Usually there's those marks on YouTube, but okay. We have top data. They spoke about top data. Top data refers to the way organizations and individuals use data to communicate insights, decisions, and strategies. It's about transforming raw data into understandable message that drive action. And also it enables storytelling through dashboards, charts, reports, and real-time analytics. An example of this is a sales team using data visualization to show monthly growth or customers' behavior trends. So we have this. They also spoke about data consideration, of which it involves thinking critically about the source, accuracy, relevance, and security of data. It ensures ethical use and compliance with data laws like the POPI Act in South Africa, and in the EU, it's the GDPR. Also, it helps avoid biased or misleading conclusions. And the example for this is verifying that a customer a survey is balanced before using it in a market campaign. So why is data important? It drives better decision making in business, healthcare, educations, and more. It helps organizations understand threats and also needs and also risk as well. It supports automation, innovations, and customer satisfaction. And also, how is data used? It is used for making prediction using AI and machine learning. It is used to personalize customer experiences, and also is in does anyone want to speak or have a question? I can hear mic is on. Okay, let's carry on. It is used for budgeting, inventory management, and also performance tracking in companies. And also, why is data protection vital? Why is that important? It is important because it prevents identity theft, it protects you from fraud, and also unauthorized access. And also, it builds trust with users and customers. And it avoids legal consequences and reputational damage. So this is the reason why it is important. Data protection is important. How companies protect data? They protect data to use encryptions, firewalls, multi-factor authentication, and regular backups. Because this reminds me, I remember on social media, it was trending that the Gmail passwords like were leaked. Everyone password was leaked. So for you to be safe, I was also breached. Mine was also breached as well. So what I did, I had to change my password and then turn on two-factor authentication so that if someone tries to log in my email using my email, if they try to use another password, it can notify me on my end so I can just accept if is this me or not. So this is also another way of companies protecting their data. They use encryptions, firewalls, and multi-factor authentication, not just two-way. They also access control limit who can view or change data, and also training staff on a safe data handling and cyber hygiene, of which that one is important because as soon as maybe when you are employed at a tech company, before anything, the first thing they will teach you is about data protection, on how to protect and how to avoid fraud and scammers and all that. So we move on to data analysis tools, of which it's Microsoft Excel, Google Data Studio, Power BI, Tabule, SQL. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing is it Tabule right? I'm not sure. And also SQL. We spoke about SQL like 2 days back. Tools help convert complex data into visual formats. They're useful for creating reports, dashboards, and predictive models as well. So everyday impact of data, smart assistants such as Google Assistant, Siri, Alexa, they use data to answer questions. Also, online shopping platform use data for recommendations. That's why sometimes when you search for something before you buy it, when you go to like social medias, you get the ad of what you are searching for. Sometimes you will feel like, hey, maybe they are spying on you and something, but no, you've searched it once and like it saw maybe you're interested in that. So that's how they also use data in online shopping. Weather apps collect real-time data to give accurate forecast. And also GPS and traffic apps use data to suggest fastest routes and also routes that have like traffics. And also GPS helps you to tell you that when you are approaching a certain area, there is a speed camera. So you need to low down your speed. So like that's all from like data. So yeah, I think that's it for now. Since I'm done just going through the summary, I will ask Theo to just quickly summarize and talk about smart database management and analysis. And also that after explaining everything, he will take questions. If anyone has a question, they can feel free to ask Theo and he will answer. And then after that, we will go to the questions. We will answer these questions. And then after answering these questions, we will go to the practice questions for the assessment. So yeah, all to you, Theo.
Okay,
You can start.
so firstly, for data management, we're speaking about not just the data that our application uses. So, for example, our application could have a login system where we need to capture data for that, such as usernames, logins, all of that. But we also want to capture data like how often does a user use the app, what type of stuff are they interested in, and this will be data that's not used in the front end, it's just used for the company itself to basically analyze their users. So definitely you don't want this data to be insecure. An example of this would be, as I've said, where data gets leaked. A common way that this happens is in your front end, you allow a user to type something in and you submit what they typed in straight to the database. So what can happen there is instead of typing in the correct data, they can fill in their own query for your database and pull, for example, information of all the users in your database or stuff like that, stuff that you don't want them to have. So you've always got to be careful about how you take input from a user and how you send that input to a database. You want to make sure that input is clean first. And yeah, uh, okay, while I'm thinking about this, you guys can feel free to ask me any questions. Uh, so in the database, we want to store two types of data. One is useful data for the application. This can be login information. It can be products that you want to display in your application, basically anything that you want to display on the front end. And then secondly, you want to store information about each customer. So for example, how often do they use your app? What types of stuff do they like looking at? What types of stuff do they buy most often? And this data is not used for the front end. It's used to analyze what type of customers you have and who will be interested in what and so forth. So that's more for analyzing for the business rather than analyzing for the application itself. Yeah.
So yeah, guys, anyone with any question, you can ask the questions before we go like to discuss those questions on the slides. So seems like no one has a question. So yeah, guys, let's continue. I'll assume everyone understands because we've been talking about the same, almost like the same thing over and over and over again. So going to the questions. So the first question, what are some real life situations where data helped you or someone you know? This one is easy. There's no right or wrong answer, guys. Yeah, you just need to like based on your knowledge, where did and specific data help you in a real life situation?
Also, for this question, remember last week how we were talking about COVID and stuff like that?
Yes. So I
Also,
would
we forgot
say,
to mention this, but you don't have to switch on your mic and talk. You can also send a message in the
yeah,
chat.
type on the chat. It's okay. Yeah, to type on the chat. Thank you for that. If you feel like you don't want to switch on your mic. I would say on my end, as a student, I've once to use data from a past exam results to identify which topics needed more focus or improving on my final grade. That's an example I would give you guys. From like I wrote an exam, I wrote a test, and after that I was curious, okay, I got this mark now. To improve, which topics should I focus more on? So I would say like data really came in handy, was really in handy in that situation, and it helped me for to prepare for the future exam because I have now I know where I go wrong because that data is recorded. Another example, this is not me. It's like, okay, for a small business, using sales data to adjust inventory and avoid overstocking or running out of products as well.
Yeah, and
So,
one specific use case of a database, which I think we overlooked a lot, is basically if you store any information in your application, that information is gone when you close and reopen your application. So storing it in a database means that even if you close your application and come back later, that data is still there.
oh, okay, thank you for that. Second question, how do you think companies should handle your personal data?
Okay, so we just got an answer. It was for the first question, some real life examples. They say they weren't here for last week's lesson, but they think the information from COVID is what helped us in knowing the numbers of how many people were affected in each province.
Yes, that's the data that was collected from like medical centers to keep us aware on, okay, this is the amount of people who were infected, and is the infection rising or is it decreasing? So yeah, right, I agree. You spoke about that on the COVID one. So for the say, does anyone agree? I shouldn't just agree because I might also make a mistake, guys. Don't trust anyone in this life. You better trust a rock than someone. Do you agree? Maybe you feel like you are wrong, this and then like you can discuss it as well. So for the second question, how do you think companies should handle your personal data? Now it's about you. How do you think a specific company, if like I have a company, how do you think me as Siv's company should handle your data?
Okay, I think that as companies are collecting my data, for example, they say they need my ID and my name, they
Mhm.
should they should like, how do I say this? They should provide an assurance that they will not use my data in a way that is going to cause me harm. And if it does happen that my data gets leaked or they use it for other purposes, they should be like, um, an agreement that, okay, fine, if we breach this contract that we had with you, or if we breach this agreement that we had with you, this is what's going to happen. You're going to have to take us to the courts and all that stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah, correct. She's right. And also see your hand is up. You can answer.
Good evening, everyone. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we
Yes,
can
we
hear
can
you.
hear you. We can hear
Oh,
you.
okay. So for the second question, I'd say that me being a social media person, because I'm always on social media, I've realized that nowadays you can actually see what other people are interested in. For example, when you're scrolling on social media, you can see that a person that you might know, maybe they liked a certain video or a certain picture. And now all of a sudden you know that, okay, this person's algorithm or what this person's interest is, it's one, two, and three. So I feel like when it comes to companies, that would be a very um, a big problem, because like as soon as other people know what you bring to the company or what your benefits are, it might affect the whole company and how it functions. So I think keeping things more private can actually work out. I don't know if I answered the question in a correct way, but then, from my perspective, from seeing like social media, the way you can see other people and what they are interested in, it's quite scary in a way to know that someone can know what I like or they know what I do, you see. So, yeah, I'd say that's my answer for the second question.
So yeah. Yes, I hear you and I understand it from your POV that you liking maybe a certain video, you don't want other people to know that. So yeah, it's kinda right.
Okay,
But
I'm
like
just.
what do you think, Theo?
I think what he says is correct. I'm
Yes.
just going to take a kind of a question and an answer here from the comments. Uh,
Okay, no problem.
they say they should delete personal data as soon as I delete the app or decide to discontinue use of the website. So they also ask, do companies get notified if someone deletes an app? So no, the company won't know specifically who deleted the app. They will get like a total number of users. So like if the total is 45 and then it suddenly drops to 44, they'll know someone deleted it, but they won't know specifically who. Uh, what they usually do in cases like this, not all the time, but some companies do this, is they implement expiring data. So basically, when you fill your data in, it has an expiry date on it to say we're going to delete it on this date. And then every time you log into the application, it updates that expiry date to push it forward a bit. So if you haven't logged in for long enough, it will hit that expiry date and delete your data.
So yeah, who was answering? I think it was Wang with the first one. She answered the question like, yes, you were correct. You were correct. You were absolutely correct. Also, Sia, she answered it in a perfect way. Like I like the way she explained it because she mentioned something that companies should collect necessary information and also they should be transparent about how it will be used and stored. So it should be stored securely, and also they should also give users control over their data and comply the data protection laws such as POPI Act. So maybe there should be some agreement if maybe like if something happens with my data, what should I do? Because they cannot get away with that. So I really like that answer. That's a really like broad and yeah, correct answer. And also use, yeah, that's the correct answer too, because not only about everything, maybe you might like something and they're like people who understand the whole concept of social media, you end up like maybe they will open a meeting at a specific family. Oh, when you like so and so thingy video, so what's happening with your algorithm? They're gonna be in your business now, so you also need privacy, more privacies on these apps.
Okay, so we have another question here. It's, does today's content have anything to do with cookies on a website? So sort of what cookies are really used for is to store settings and stuff that you don't really need a database for. For example, let's say your website has a light mode and a dark mode. You don't really want to go create a table in your database just to store which customers are using light mode and dark mode. So you can just store that as a cookie in the browser, and then the next time the user comes to your website, it will just load that cookie, which is just in their local browser on their own computer, and then it will just get the information from there for if they were previously using dark mode or not.
Okay. Any other questions before we move on to the third one? Okay, see ya.
So I've noticed that in most websites, especially for me as a designer, because I'm a graphic designer, I've noticed that whenever you go into websites like Canva and other websites, they normally ask you to sign in. Why is it necessary for us to sign in on a website, even though we won't really need to use it every single time? Why do we need to sign in? Because now it gets like overwhelming as time goes by when they send you an
Unnecessary
unnecessary
emails.
emails. Yes, so I don't understand. Why do we need to sign in? What is that for?
So usually for sign in, well, I'm speaking about if they're actually using it like for real. They want you to sign in so that they have an account that they can connect things to. So for example, on YouTube, the reason why you'll sign in is so that if you upload a video later on, that video is now connected to your account that you created. But yeah, I do agree, some websites, they don't really have anything that needs to be stored to your account, but they want you to sign in anyway so that they can have access to your email and send you advertisements and stuff like that.
So yeah, I believe you answered your question. So on question 3, can you think of a time when poor data management caused a problem? Can you think of a time when poor data management caused any problem?
Okay, before we get into this question, we have another one in the comments here. So they're asking, how much information can the website take through cookies? Any personal information or just activity on the website? So basically they can take any activity on the website plus any data that your browser has access to. So inside of your website, the JavaScript has access to this thing called, I think it's called window. And this window has access to basically everything you're looking at in your browser right now. Maybe not other tabs in the browser, but everything you're doing on that window, the one that their website is loaded into. So they can basically store anything they want from there into cookies, not anything outside of there. So they can't, like, for example, go into your documents and store something from there. But those cookies are basically on your own computer, not on the company's side. But even though they're just on your own computer, remember later on in the code it can say grab something from cookies and send it over to the company side. So at first it may be just on your computer, but they may also use that data.
All right, guys. Moving on to the question, we can answer the third question now. Can you think of a time when poor data management caused a problem?
Okay, I think I have an answer for this question. A time that I can think of is I am a former university student, and during my final year, we had a huge issue whereby a lot of students couldn't register because there were outstanding documents. And it was quite surprising, how is this even possible that a lot of students have outstanding documents, even including myself. Here I am, I'm doing my final year, but then I have outstanding documents. Like, where are my documents? Because I had documents since first year, second year, third year, and now during my final year, my documents are outstanding. So now I have to, go get my matric certificate certified, upload them so that it's possible for me to register. So I feel like that poor data management, it caused a lot of problems for the university, because it almost took like close to a month for a lot of students to actually register. Not to mention, including the first years were struggling to register, because even they had like issues with outstanding documents. That time, their statuses would say they are approved at the university, but then at the same time they can't register. So I'd say that was a time where I've noticed that poor data management, it can cause a huge problem, especially for a university, because literally no one can register if there is no data to your name.
Absolutely correct. He answered the question and he explained everything so vividly, guys. So yeah, that's correct. And also, it can cause financial errors like doubling bills or sending private data to a wrong person. So that's another thing. Maybe if you are renting a place. I remember when I was doing like my second year, I got tired of res. I was like, you know what? I need my own space now. I hate sharing. I just need to be alone. So when I went there, like one thing they do, sometimes they do this on purpose to scam people. So you must be aware. When they send you your invoice, you'll see that they will lie and say you used too much of cold water, too much of this, like all of those extra stuff. But if you go to the office and just ask them to give you the straight up recordings, they shouldn't just type nonsense or add a price. If you want to ask them why, maybe if you are supposed to pay like 2.5 and you want to ask them why am I paying 3,000, what went wrong, and then they will tell you, oh, we made a mistake. So that's another example where poor data management can cause a real problem, because they can actually take advantage of you financially, or it can affect you financially. Or maybe they record you that you didn't pay, whereas you did pay. So that's why sometimes it's so important to keep the receipt.
Yeah, and just adding on to the answer that we got from the last person, uh,
Mm-hmm.
in that specific case, I think what would happen there is basically when you're storing files, like for example, he was talking about your certified copy of your ID and all of that stuff. We don't usually
Mm-hmm.
store that directly in the database. What happens there is we have a separate a hard drive just like a computer hard drive to store things on. And every time someone submits a file, we store the actual file on that hard drive. And then in the database, we just store the location of where that file is. So I think in the previous example that he gave us, what happened is they weren't making backups of that hard drive. So when that hard drive failed or it got lost or something, we still had all the pointers in the database pointing to where on that hard drive the data is, but now there's no hard drive there, so there's no data on it.
All right, thank you for explaining that. So now we can move on to question 4. What data analysis tool would you like to learn more about and why? What data analysis tool? You remember, like we mentioned, these are the wait, these are the data analysis tools: Microsoft Excel, Google Data Studio, Power BI, Microsoft Azure, SQL. So, what data analysis would you like to learn more and why? Okay, I'll go first. I would like to learn more about Power BI because it helps create visual reports and dashboards from complex data, and it is used widely in business settings, and also it's user friendly, and you can connect to many data sources, making it powerful for analyzing and also presenting as well. So yeah, that's why I would love to learn Power BI.
So for me, what I would really like to learn is Microsoft Excel. And the reason for this is sometimes I just do like experiments on my own, and it doesn't really require me to go create a whole database. But the only way I know how to work with data is by creating a whole database. So I think by learning Excel, sometimes I can just make my work a bit smaller.
So anyone, or we can move on to the questions, to the MCQ questions.
Okay, so someone is asking, can you just give us a brief of each of those tools?
They of the tools. I wasn't expecting this one, guys. Okay, let me do more research on the side because I don't want to lie to you, you see. So okay, let me go back. I wanted to share the multiple choice one. You, as I explained, for sure you heard me when I explained the the thingy, the Power BI. Can you please explain Excel? And then to Theo, can you please explain Excel, and then I'll explain Power BI, and then
Uh,
I'll
Okay, so I'll try to explain Excel my best here. It's basically a software for creating spreadsheets. So I don't think I need to explain what spreadsheets to anyone is. Basically, it's just a thing that has columns and rows, and you can fill data inside of it. But Excel is powerful because you can also write functions inside of it to check through all of the data that you put inside of that spreadsheet. And it's a lot faster to work with for small data than creating an entire database, because a spreadsheet is just one file on your computer that you can just open and write in, just like a text file.
right. So, as you mentioned, um, Microsoft, he did explain the Microsoft Excel one. Its function, it is used to organize and to calculate and analyze the data in spreadsheets. Also, it has features, the formulas, um, is it pivot tables, charts, and graphs. And it's best for beginners because we did that at school. I wouldn't say I'm a pro on Excel, but I do have an idea. At school, we did work with Excel, so I do know Excel. It is best for beginners to set small data sets and also quick calculations and reports. And then Google Data Studio, its function is to create interactive dashboards and data reports that are shareable online. its feature, it connects easily to Google products, for example, Google Sheets and Google Analytics. And also it is best for visual storytelling, reports for marketing or web analytics. And the Power BI, the Microsoft Power BI, its function is it is a powerful business intelligence tool to turn raw data into visuals. And also its feature, it has dashboards, real-time updates, cloud access into and also integrates with Excel and database. And it is best for companies needing a clear and interactive visual guide to their decisions. And the tab view, its function, it has an advanced data visual software used to explore and share insights. And its feature is a drag and drop interface, live data connection, and complex graphic tools. And also it is best for professional and analytics working for big or live data set. And also the structured query language, which is SQL, structured query language. Its function is a programming language for interacting with databases. And also its feature, it can retrieve, it can update, and it insert or delete data from a large system. And it is best for developers, data engineers, or anyone managing large amount of data in the data set. In a databases, I mean, not data set, in a databases. So it is best for developers and data engineers who are managing large amounts of data in a database. So I hope I explained that properly or in a manner where you guys can understand. And also there's someone in the chat, I would like to use Excel because it is comprehensive. It's also a skill sought after in the job market and in a workspace.
So let me answer this one. I know it's not even a question though. But I just want to say, when I was covering this on my TikTok, like just from me speaking about it, there was someone who already sent me a DM and they wanted to basically pay me to create a data presentation for them. So yeah, it's definitely highly sought after.
Okay. Yeah, me and Theo are recording this. You see, I'm recording it right now. I will post it on my YouTube channel. And Theo is going to post it on his YouTube channel as well. So, yeah, let's move on to the multiple choice questions. I think we should like do this more often. On Saturday, what time are you guys free? But don't worry, I'll ask you in the group. So we can set a time maybe tomorrow later on, or a time where everyone is not busy. So we have our first question. What tag is used to create a hyperlink in HTML? Is it A? Is it B? Is it C? Is it D? Hopefully you guys can see the screen.
Okay, so we have the correct answer here from Andile, and he says it's the A tag.
Correct. It's the A tag, guys. Question 2. Which CSS property controls the text size? A, is it font style? B, text size? C, font size? And then D, is it size? Which CSS property controls the text size?
Okay, we have two answers here. One is C and one is B.
Okay. Which one are we going to agree on? C or B?
Okay, now we have four answers, two for C and two for B.
Okay, I think maybe we need to vote now.
Yeah, I think we're mostly getting C here in the comments.
We're mostly getting C. Okay, guys, the correct answer is C. The correct answer is C, font size. Not text size, font size. B, we use it on what? Do you know our text size? We use it to control what? Theo?
I'm not sure. I'm not so good with CSS.
Okay. Okay, we'll go over that. Don't worry. Question 3, how do you write a comment in JavaScript? How do we write a comment in JavaScript?
Okay, we got the correct answer from Andile again. It's B with the two slashes.
Correct. Thank you, Adile. Question 4. Don't worry about writing this. You can just write the correct answers. I'll send everything in the group, guys. Question 4. What does HTML stands for? What does HTML stands for?
Okay, everyone is saying A here.
Correct. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language, guys. And then we move on to the next question. How do you apply a class in CSS?
Okay, now we're getting mixed answers of A and B. So I'll take this. The correct answer is A with the dot. So when we're working with classes, we use the dot, and when we're working with IDs, we use the hash.
So yeah, guys. You said the correct answer is what?
The correct answer is A.
A, yeah, correct, correct. With the dot. Shouldn't forget. If you forget that dot at the beginning, you see you need to pay attention to this, guys. You will get an error. And then we move on to question 6. Which tag is used to insert an image in HTML? Which tag is used to insert an image in HTML?
Okay, we're getting all correct answers here, which is C.
Correct. The correct answer is C. And then question 7, how do you create a function in JavaScript? How do you create a function in JavaScript? Here, JavaScript can be a bit tricky. How do we create a function in JavaScript?
Okay, we did have a bit of confusion with some people saying A and D, but now a lot of people are saying C, which is the correct answer.
Yeah, it's the correct answer. The correct answer is C, guys. Is C. So, for question.
Okay, just before we move on, there was a lot of people saying D as well, so I think they're getting confused between Python and JavaScript.
Oh, okay. We need to. We will try to, after we're done doing the questions, we'll try to go over them and just explain. We are not going to ask the question, we just explain. Question 8. Which property is used to change the background color in CSS? This one is a free mark. Free mark. Which property is used to change the background color in CSS?
Okay, everyone is saying D, which is correct.
Yes, correct. Question 9. What is the correct HTML element for inserting a line break? Also this one, guys. We actually did, when we were doing that quiz, they gave us this question. You remember?
Yeah, I do remember that.
I love all of the questions that we are doing here. We write them in the final assessment. Whoa.
So we do have the correct answer here. Everyone is saying C.
C. That's the correct answer for the line break, guys.
I like that everyone has the correct answer here, because I was assuming that some people are going to say A just because it has the word break in it.
Nah, it's easy to the line break. It's actually how do you select an element with ID demo in CSS? This one is a bit tricky. How do we select an element with ID demo in CSS?
Okay, so everyone is saying C, which is correct. And also, I don't know if you can see the comments from there, but someone just asked a question, which is, when we use a BR tag, do we need to include that slash to close the tag inside of it? So I don't know if you guys know this, but HTML is the current version we're using is called HTML5. And because there's the number 5 in there, you can probably guess that there were previous versions before this. So in one of the really old versions, you did have to include the slash whenever you're closing the tag, if it's a single tag. But in the modern versions, you don't need to do that anymore.
Okay. I didn't even know, Theo. Thank you for explaining that. So, question 10. How do you select an element with ID demo in CSS?
Okay, so everyone has already given the correct answer, which is C.
C, yes. Question 11. How do you display content on the browser console in JavaScript? How do you display content in the browser console in JavaScript?
Okay, so we have the correct answer again, which is C. And someone is asking, is it possible to explain the other wrong answers, what they actually mean? So yeah, Saif did say he was going to tell us what text-size means later on.
Yeah. I will explain it. So you said the correct answer is C, right? On question 11.
Yeah, that's the correct answer, and
yes.
Everyone is saying C.
Correct, guys. Question 12, which HTML tag is used to define a table row?
Okay, so we're getting the correct answers all A here.
Okay, guys, yeah, true. Question 13, what symbol is used for ID selectors in CSS?
Okay, again, everyone is saying A, which is correct.
Okay, and now we move on to question 14. Which keyword is used to declare a variable in JavaScript? Which keyword is used to declare a variable in JavaScript?
Okay, so everyone is saying B, which is correct, but also D is also correct.
Yeah, both of them. D is also acceptable. Both are used depending on the scope and context, guys. Yes, correct. Depending on the scope and context.
Also, I'm not sure how to explain this well, but we're supposed to use D, which is let, instead of var. Var is the old way of doing things, and I think it's not optimized or something. So we're actually supposed to use let.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. We move on to question 15. What is the correct HTML tag for the largest heading? This one is also easy, guys.
Yeah, everyone's already answered it, which is A, H1 tag.
Okay, question 16. How do you make a list in HTML? How do you make a list? How do you make a list?
Kanti asiphila phezulu. Kanti asiphila phezulu ubuka i-TV. Kanti ubheke phezulu ubuka i-TV yena.
Is there someone speaking?
Okay, so we're getting some mixed answers here between A and C. So let me just explain that a bit. So A is the correct answer here. The UL and OL stand for unordered list and ordered list. And then C, which is what some people are getting confused with, is how you create an item inside of those lists.
Thank you. Is right. Question 17. Which event occurs when the user clicks on an HTML element in JavaScript? Which event occurs when the user clicks on an HTML element in JavaScript? Which event occurs when the user clicks on an HTML element in JavaScript?
Okay, so everyone is saying C, which is correct.
Correct, it's in the name.
Yeah, and before we move on, I know they asked us to explain the ones which were wrong as well. So on D here, that's also a real event. It's when your mouse goes over the element. And then A, on change, is actually if you have a text box, every time you put a new alphabet into that text box, it triggers the on change event.
All right. Thank you, Pia, for explaining that. Question 18. And like this is the second last one. We have 20. Yeah, we have 20. Question 18. What is the default value of the position property in CSS? What is the default value of the position property and CSS. Theo, can you please explain to the people what do we mean when we say default?
So default is what it will be set to if you don't change it yourself manually.
Okay, thank you. What is the default value of the position property in CSS?
Okay, so we're getting a lot of answers of C here and one for A.
The correct answer is D, guys. We'll come back to that. We'll come back to that. Or should I explain it now?
Yeah, I think you should explain that because I also didn't know what the default value was.
Yeah, it's D. A, the relative one needs to be manually set. And then the absolute is not a default. And the fixed is used for elements that stay in place on scroll. Yeah, it's used for elements that stay in place on scroll. So, and then static is the default value of the position property in CSS. So relative needs to be manually set, which means it's not default. You need to set it manually. And then like absolute is not default. So yeah. Question 19. How do you link a CSS file to an HTML document? How do you link a CSS file to an HTML document?
Okay, so we're getting B, which is the correct answer.
Yeah, B is the correct answer. And then the last question, what does this keyboard refer to in JavaScript inside a method? What does the open quote, this close quote, keyword refer to in JavaScript inside a method?
Okay, so we're getting A and D as answers here.
Funny enough, in the memo, it's saying the correct answer is C, the object that owns the method. It's saying.
So before we move on, where Cypher is going to also explain what the wrong answers here mean. So you might have noticed I'm not very good at CSS, and the reason I can afford to do this is because when you're using your front end and your back end, you don't necessarily need to create that front end yourself. Firstly, obviously you can use AI to do this, but that's not what I'm speaking about here. There's also pre-written CSS libraries that you can just download and put in, and it has already written CSS inside of it that you just connect the classes to your HTML. So an example of this would be Bootstrap. I'm not sure if you can pull it up there, but yeah, Bootstrap, you can just basically download the file. It's a .css file. You put it in your project, and then where you're linking, you just link to that Bootstrap file, and all the CSS is pre-written in there. And Tailwind is a bit more advanced than that. What you'd actually do there is it's a JavaScript file that reads all of the classes on everything you have in your HTML page, and then it figures out what you're trying to style it as, and it just automatically applies those styles.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Theo. Okay, remember on question 1 we said the correct answer is B. And then the reason why the other options are not the correct answer. A, you see link, it is used to link external files like style sheet, not for the clickable links on the page. And also C, which is the href, is not a tag, it's an attribute of the A tag. And also D, the hyper is not valid, is not a valid tag for HTML. So this is why these three other options are not the correct, which no. This one, 2, 3. And then this is why B is the correct one. Because you remember, like you open an A tag and then inside the A tag, that's where you add your href and everything. So, and then on question 2, we said the correct answer is font size, which is C. The reason why A is a font style is not the correct one. It controls the italics. For an example, normal, italic, you see, it controls that. And also B, text size is not a real CSS property. And D, the size is not a valid property in CSS for the text. And then moving on to question 3, how do we write a comment in JavaScript? And then we said the correct answer is B. This is how you write a comment. So like the reason why the other options are not correct is because A, the A1 HTML style comment is not for the JavaScript. I think you mentioned some along those lines on A, ne? Theo. You mentioned that this HTML style comment is not for JavaScript. This one.
Yeah, the first one is for HTML and then the second one is for JavaScript.
This is for JavaScript. Thank you.
The third one, I'm not sure if JavaScript has it as well, but I know C has it, which is where you can make multi-line comments. So the comment can be like 5 lines long.
Yes. It's valid for multi-line comments, but it's not for the single line comment. And then D, it is used in Python or Shell, not JavaScript. This one is used on Python or Shell, not JavaScript. And then question 4, we said the correct answer. I don't think I need to explain this one, guys. What does HTML stands for? But I'll explain it either way. HTML stands for like hypertext markup language. That's the full word for HTML, hypertext markup language. B is not the answer because home tool markup language is a made-up phrase. And also C, hyperlinks and text markup language is close, but it's incorrect. It's just, it's mind games. It's playing with you guys. And then D, the hypertool multi-language is not even a real thing. So question 5. On question 5, we said the answer is A with the full stop. The reason why B is not the correct answer, that H class name is used for an ID, not a class. And C, I'll just try to be fast because of the time, guys. C, that class is not a valid syntax in CSS. And also D, the star selects all elements, not for classes. The star selects all elements, not for the classes though. And then question 6, the correct answer is image, which is C. The reason why A is not the correct answer, it's not a valid HTML tag. And then B is not a standard tag. And then D, SRC is an attribute, not a tag. This is an attribute, not a tag. And then Theo, okay, before I move on, before I forget, Theo, can you explain for the people what's the difference between a tag and an attribute?
Okay, so a tag is an actual element that displays on your page. Well, not necessarily displays, it could be like the linking tag or your script tag. But the tag is basically pure HTML. It's something that's attached to your page. And then the attribute is one attribute for that tag. So for example, in the linking tag, we have to specify what we're linking. So we have to tell it where the CSS file is. And yeah, the attribute is how we pass that data to the tag.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to question 7, the correct answer is C. Everyone agreed on that. The reason why A is not the correct answer, it's an invalid syntax. B, it's not how functions are defined. And then D, it's for Python syntax, not JavaScript. And then question 8, the correct answer, we agreed that it's D. And then the reason why A is not correct, it's not a real property. And then B, color, it changes text color, not background. And C, background, can set background, not just a color. It includes images, a repeat, etc., etc. And then on question 9, we said the correct answer is C, of which it's for the line break, right? A, the reason why A is not correct, it's not valid, and then B is not a real tag, and then D is not valid for the line break. And then question 10, the correct answer is C, #demo. The reason why A is not the correct answer, it selects class, not ID, and then B, it's invalid. The star selects all elements, remember, and then demo only would select a tag named demo, which doesn't exist. So moving on to question 11, the correct answer is C. Your people are joining this time. On question 11, the correct answer is C. The reason why A is not the correct answer, it is used in Python, not JavaScript. And then B is not a valid JavaScript method. And then D is an invalid syntax. Moving on to question 12, which HTML tag is used to define a table row? The correct answer there is A, TR, of which a lot of people got it right. The reason why B is not the correct answer, it defines table data or cells, not a row. And then C, it defines table header, not a row. And also D, it's not even a real tag. So moving on to question 13, what symbol is used for ID selectors in CSS? The correct answer is A. The reason why B is not the correct answer, it is used for class selectors. And then C, it's a universal sector for all elements. And then D is not used in the sector. And then moving on to question 14, which keyword is used to declare a variable in JavaScript? The correct answer is B. And we also said D is also is also acceptable. So we are taking B and D. These are the correct answers. If you chose B, you're correct. If you chose D, you're also correct. The reason why you are wrong when you chose A and C, it's because A is not valid, and then C is used in C, not JavaScript. Moving on to question 15. What is the correct HTML tag for the largest heading? The correct answer is A, of which this one is written all over the place. We know, like we did this on the fundamentals when we started this program. The reason why B is not correct is because it's not a valid tag. And then C is the smallest heading. And also D contains metadata, not content. And then moving on to question 16, the correct answer is A. And Theo did explain it, but okay, I'm gonna go over it again. The reason why B is not correct, it's not a valid HTML tag. And then C, list items, but not the container. It only lists items, not the container. And then D is used for description list, not standard bullets, numbers list, not standard bullets or number lists. So moving on to question 17, which event occurs when the user clicks on the HTML element in JavaScript? The correct answer is on click. It's in the name. The reason why the other options are not correct. On change is used for inputs when their value changes. Yeah, it's used for inputs when their value changes. And then B is not a valid event, and also D, triggered when the mouse hovers around. You see, it triggers when the mouse hovers around. And then moving on to question 18, what is the default value of the position property in CSS? The correct answer is D, static. I did explain this. A needs to be set manually. B is not default. C is used for elements that stay in place on scroll. And then moving on to question 19, how do you link a CSS file to an HTML document? And then everyone got this one right. The correct answer was B. The reason why A is not the correct answer, it's not a real tag. C, style is used for internal CSS, not linking files. And also D is an invalid syntax. Moving on to the last one, the correct answer is C. The reason why the other options are not correct, A, JavaScript doesn't have classes in their traditional OOP sense. And then B is not always true. And then D is only true in a specific case, like in an event handler, if is misused. So I believe we covered everything, guys. That's it for today's lesson. I'll send notes and everything on the group, the slides and everything we discussed today. So I'm not sure. I think tomorrow let's just rest, guys. On Saturday we are resting. So like I'll see you on Monday. I'll see you guys on Monday, same time, same place. So yeah, anyone with any question before we leave? And then Theo is going to answer those questions.
Okay, and while those questions are coming in, I just wanted to show you guys what Bootstrap is, which is what I was speaking about earlier. So I'm just sharing my screen here. So can everyone see this?
Yes, I can see it on my end.
So you see over here, they show us an example of this card element. And basically what Bootstrap allows us to do is we don't need to write all of the styling ourselves. We just download the bootstrap.css file from this website and we use the class names like they show us down here, and it will automatically make something like this for you. So if you're good at like JavaScript and your backend coding and all of that, but you're not so good at designing and maybe you're bad at choosing the right colors and stuff, then it's good to use a library like Bootstrap.
Okay, will you please send that on the group? I think I will just, I need to play around with it.
Yeah, I will.
Thank you so much. So yeah, guys, thank you for sharing. That's all. We'll see you guys again on Monday.